Hey guys, Matt here. Today we're going to be talking about Monero and the CBDC. As we saw, I'll put a little video.
Not put to bed, but put to reality this digital euro. The deadline for us is going to be October of 25.
I believe it's October 2025, so there's a deadline. I just want to go over the differences between Monero and the CBDC for those who are a bit slow. So Monero, as we know, is private by default, meaning I can't see the balance you have, the amount, the transactions. Unlike Bitcoin, which I send you a transaction, I can see your entire balance and all your transaction history and everything, essentially making it a public bank account. And then, on top of it being private by default, it is cheap to use. Right, the fees are less than a penny anytime you transact. Dirt cheap, no matter how many transactions are going on. We saw different spam attacks happen, and the amount that it cost us in the transaction was, as we know, cheap. Which, unlike Bitcoin, which goes into the fees of hundreds of dollars, which is just fucking insane. A currency can't work like that, right? I can't go to the coffee shop and pay a fee of like a couple $100, right? It doesn't make sense economically. Or whatever. And then, on top of being private and cheap to use, it has fast settlements, right? As we know, you can walk away from Monero transactions at 0 confirmations, right? You click the send button and it immediately pops up on somebody else's phone. Now you can wait around for like one little settlement, one confirmation, or you can wait around for more, right? The full settlement time is like 10-20 minutes versus the legacy financial system, which is 3 to 5 days. Absolutely insane so far we have, right? Private, cheap to use, fast settlements, and then we're going to go into scalable, right? Monero can scale into an infinite amount of transactions per second. All it relies on is technology developing, right? Network, bandwidth, and storage, right? Because the whole blockchain needs to be stored on something, like a little hard drive, like we already have 1 terabyte on a micro SD card. As we know, the storage is going to develop, and it's going to be able to scale to doing billions of transactions. That would be the goal. And then it's easy to use, right? You download Cake Wallet, you send Monero, you receive Monero. It's pretty simple, unlike the privacy on Bitcoin, which will still get you arrested. Right, all these other like Zcash, once again, no good wallets. It's horrible. Nobody uses it. It was less than 3,000 transactions per day. There is no other privacy coin. It's just Monero. So not only is it easy to use, and anybody can understand it. Right, I have a video coming out called Monero for Dummies. Right, we got to make this really easy and digestible. Monero is just filled with the nerds who don't want to dumb anything down for like a normal person. So that's what I hope to do. And then, so far, right, let's go back over it. Private by default, cheap to use, it has fast settlements, it's scalable, easy to use, and it's non-fungible, right? So we know with cash, a $1 bill equals $1 bill, right? You can instantly exchange it, there's no difference. Gold, once again, melt it down, melt the serial number off. Gold equals gold. 1 ounce equals 1 ounce. You can't, ding it. Right, but with Bitcoin being a public ledger, if it's used for some illicit activity, let's say drug dealing or, whatever it might be, that could be dinged. It could be essentially frozen, right? You can still send it around, but exchanges aren't going to accept it. People aren't going to accept it. There's already a credit score on Ethereum and Bitcoin right now. They rolled that out. That's just the future. So 1 Bitcoin does not equal 1 Bitcoin, right? Because 1 Bitcoin can be dinged. Like that's the easiest way to dumb it down. Is you cannot send that, you cannot transact with that Bitcoin anymore. It's essentially frozen without being frozen, right? Why would I want a dirty Bitcoin? There's no such thing as a dirty Monero or dirty dollar, dirty gold. 1 equals 1, right? That's fungibility, dumbed down. Decentralized, right? But once again, I'm gonna keep going every time. You just get private, cheap to use, fast settlements, scalable, easy to use. Fungible, decentralized, which means no central authority controls it because it's CPU mining, which means I could mine Monero on my PC. Your grandma can. anybody can, right? Everybody can versus ASICs, right? These huge, expensive mining machines for Bitcoin that end up leading to these huge centralized mining farms. And the majority of the hash power is held by these US companies. And who's to say Uncle Sam can't go to those companies and be like, hey, you just sent you this transaction, hey, you need to do this. Otherwise, they just fucking seize the entire thing. So Bitcoin is not decentralized at all. And then we're going to do future-proof, right? Monero has a slight tail inflation. People hear that and they freak out. But then they forget to realize that the dollar also has inflation, but that is government inflation. There's a strong difference between, right, a slight tail inflation and government inflation. Government inflation can double the money supply in less than a day. It can triple it. It can quadruple it. Look at Zimbabwe. Look at all these other different currencies that go to zero because the government just prints an infinite amount of it. There's no printing Monero, right? It's a slight, tiny bit, every little bit. And it barely adds up to anything. It's to incentivize the miners to keep mining it, right? To support the network versus Bitcoin, which is going to solely survive off of fees alone. Which, as we know, when Bitcoin is actually used, those fees go into the hundreds of dollars. So no one is trying to survive off of fees alone. We're going to see those fees rise to thousands, tens of thousands. Bitcoin's just going to crash. Those miners aren't going to be able to pay the electric bill. They're not going to be able to do anything. So when you see this BlackRock commercial, oh, we cannot, blah, 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 confirm that Bitcoin is only going to be 20 million coins forever. Because they're not. They're trying to warn you ahead of time that it's not sustainable. Smart money knows this. I don't know why it isn't talked about more. And then the last point is it brings risk back to money, right? In 2008, we saw a bailout of the banks. They just printed money and just propped up the system. They let these bankers get away with theft. That's essentially what it is. All money printing is just stealing your wealth and sending it upwards, right, to the elites. There's no way else to dumb it down other than if a bank lends you money, that is risk, right? They don't know if you're going to pay them back. Versus the current financial system. They could just seize all your assets. They can just print money out of thin air so they don't collapse, right? That is not risk. Risk is there are consequences to money again. There are no bailouts. There's none of that bullshit. And now, to recap, Monero. It's private, cheap to use, it has fast settlements, it's scalable, it's easy to use, it's fungible, it's decentralized, it brings risk back to money, and it is future-proof. Now we're going to move on to the central bank digital currency, right, CBDC. Also known as the digital euro, digital dollar, digital whatever. With the central bank digital currency, all assets and funds can be frozen in one click. It's just extreme financial control. They control every aspect of it. And tying in with that, they can do economic manipulation, which means restricting purchases on, let's say, carbon-heavy items, which then also is the next step into a social credit score system, which is just insane, right? They can inflate the money supply, they can deflate it instantly, they can take all your money, they can set time limits on it, like, oh, Jimmy John, you have to spend this amount of money before it just poof, goes into thin air. Right? There's no laundering money, there's no all of that shit, unless you're at the very echelons who actually control the system itself. Like what we see with, you know, the blackmailed our politicians. My name's Jeff, that guy. I can't say it because otherwise I'll get eaten. And the cartels, right? These banks work with the cartels because there's a fuck ton of money. Of course, that will always exist in a sense, unless, you know, I don't know, man. I don't know if banks will be able to go without the central bank digital currency. And then it has zero privacy. Right? There's no cash with the central bank digital currency. We see all these businesses all around that aren't accepting cash anymore. Right? We're going cashless. Oh, we're going cashless. Oh, we're going cashless. you will have no privacy, and they openly say this, right? You can't go buy drugs with your cash now. You can't go avoiding taxes. You can't go to a gun show, buy shit anonymously. You can't purchase anything anonymously. Everything will be tracked. Every single purchase. And those purchases can be limited, right? You can only buy X amount of gas. You can only buy X amount of groceries, X amount of blank. It's full financial control, which just squeezes you until you... Monero offers you the golden key to unlock your cage of financial slavery. The central bank digital currency not only tightens the shackles, but squeezes you for any wealth you have lying around. It's gone. They want full control, and that's why they fear Monero. That's why there's an IRS bounty on it. That's why it's delisted everywhere, making it harder for people to get. That's why there's price manipulation, so people are blinded by number go up and they're like, oh dude, Monero's actually so cool, I'll actually like hold this, right? Because economically, it being crypto and everything, let's be so for it right now. A $2 billion yearly darknet economy on a $4 billion coin doesn't make any sense. It's never heard of. Right, and that's not including all these other different like little purchases, like people buy anonymous web hosting, people buy goods and services off of XMR Bazaar and Monero Market, and then we have Monero, a bunch of businesses accepting Monero, and now we have gambling, right? There are huge economies forming, and it being only at $3 billion doesn't make any sense. And I've had different traders reach out to me, and they're like, yeah, the little paper you posted about the price suppression makes a lot of sense. We've been seeing all these like different blah, 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 blah. It's coming at lightning speed, and we have one chance to exit out of the system. Otherwise, that window will close forever. And I don't think people are moving with much urgency. If they're blinded by greed, they're blinded by... I think it's just greed. And then we have all these different little paid shills on X that just lie in and tell people one narrative that isn't true. Because why would they want you exiting out of the system? Why would they want to hand financial control over to the people? That doesn't make any sense. Right? How are they going to live with their crime, their theft, their everything, right? But a global Monero circular economy is going to bring financial prosperity to you, your kids' kids, their kids. It's the first time in human history where people have a way to opt out of the system, have full control over their money. By just having a little wallet on your phone, your wealth is protected from everybody. Right? It's private. It's like a Swiss bank account in your pocket, but better. Who doesn't want that? Right? You get a divorce. Your money is instantly like frozen. With this, they don't know how much money you have. They can't be frozen. You still have your hard-earned wealth right there. Right? With taxes, they can't instantly tax you. They don't know how much to tax. It's all anonymous and private. And I don't see why people don't market it this way, too. It's truly financial freedom, right? A whole bunch of dollars isn't financial freedom because they can just simply write a law or just seize all your funds, freeze it, whatever. You say the wrong thing, poof, you're poor, you're homeless. You do the wrong thing, oopsies, you know. But I see a gradual, just like steady development of the Monero ecosystem, which boosts the market cap a little bit because the market is very manipulated. We will never know the true price, at least for a while, that is. We're going to see a resurgence and really crypto as a whole. Because Monero is going to go all the way up there because people are going to be like, oh shit, we can actually use this. It's not just like gambling. Or you can gamble with Monero now. Now we're going to have no KYC gambling, right? We have XMRGG now. They're under maintenance. And then we have the dark web by drugs, right? Where drug dealers are going to go whenever the CBDC is a thing. Monero, right? The dark web is going to completely evolve. And then we're going to see businesses accepting Monero, right? Monero Market taking over eBay, same with XMR Bazaar. It's just going to slowly consume all of these different economic sections, and then it's just going to hit hypersonic, just everybody's just dumping into it, using it, accepting it, and we're just going to see the US dollar just plummet, completely rug pulling the boomers that sold out our country, which I find way cooler than GameStop. The whole ape monkey thing, we can still do that with Monero, but there will be more wealth created through Monero than will be GameStop. So yeah, I don't know how long this video was. I just wanted to shoot a quick little video and get it uploaded because I don't think I've seen one of these before, but yeah, next video, this is probably going to be Monero for Dummies, and then the one after that is going to be how does it replace the dollar, and breaking it down exactly how it will on a whiteboard. Because I was talking to my girlfriend about this, and she just did not seem to understand it. At least some parts of it. She needed like a visual. So that's what I hope to do.